so awesome. You're like an angel,
Thank you.
like a heart angel. You're so supportive here in the group of everyone. And I see you try to jump onto all the live feeds you can, and you're constantly commenting and supporting everyone. And I was so excited to get you on here today because I felt like I wanted 100 people to be on here to ask you questions and show you love, because you are so strong in doing that for everyone else. So without any further ado, go ahead and tell everyone what it is that you do and how that makes you a trailblazing leader.
Well, okay. Well, thank you for all of that. And that's like fantastic. What an intro. Thank you. So, what it is that I do, I find it really actually hard. Hey, Brittany, I find it really hard to put it into words, to be honest with you. But I am a tarot professional, and I help entrepreneurs infuse their spirituality into any business, so that, you really, really trust your intuition, and you can move forward knowing with that guidance, because I think that the guidance from above is the most important that you can have. And it actually avoids a lot of things if you listen to it. Now, we don't always know what we're avoiding because I put it down to something like if you're driving around and you're speeding and you kind of feel like there's a cop coming up ahead and your intuition says, whoa, slow down, and then you do listen to it, you avoid a ticket. If you don't slow down, you go, God, I knew that was coming, and then you get a ticket. So if you can follow your intuition and guidance, and especially in business, you'll be far better off.
Okay. Now you are speaking directly to me right now, because, and I love, first of all, I mean, it's funny that there is such a strong presence of spiritual guests on this show, because I believe that the universe gives you what you truly, truly need. And I have been bombarded in a very awesome way with really spiritual people. A lot do tarot, a lot are intuitive, and obviously it's an area of my life that I've been wanting to tap into, so to speak, a little bit deeper. So how do you, because this is an area that I struggle with, and I'm sure a lot of other people do, and I think that, children innately have this and then learn over time to shut it down and do what they're told and listen to others and be quiet and sit down and shut up, right? That's my story. If you know any of my backstory at all, that's kind of my thing. The whole blazing voice is like, no, we won't sit down and shut up. We are going to be heard, and we will come at it with a vengeance. And so the whole thing is, how do you it's like re-tap into that intuition? How do you quiet down all the other things so that you can listen? And which things do you trust? And how do you know there's a difference between the intuition versus the bullshit stories in your head?
Oh, yes, those bullshit stories.
My favorite, by the way.
Yeah. Well, how do you know the difference? Well, if something keeps popping up over and over again, it's a lesson. And when you're not taking that guidance and you find that you're not in flow, that's when you're not listening. So and I actually thought it was really, really cool that you wanted me on the show, because I was like, I'm going to call her out on her spirituality stuff. Because I saw your post of the spiritual badass, and you're like, I haven't been posting because of the spiritual part. And I was like, everyone is spiritual and everyone has that guidance, and it takes a little bit of practice. And that's all it is. It's just practice. It's about, it's a skill. It's a skill set. And the more that you tune in, the more that you go for walks in nature, the more that you self-love, the more that you do self-care, the more that you listen to your body, that is when things get into flow. And that's when you can hear your messages easier as well. And one of the things that you got to start noticing the signs from the universe. So one time I was like, I got to call this girl Rhonda. And it was really important for my design business at the time. And she was a head honcho at a paint store, a really big paint store. And it led me to wherever. And I was like, I got to phone Rhonda. So I stopped into a 7-Eleven to get a coffee, and the girl's name was Rhonda. So I immediately went into my car and phoned Rhonda, and she was available at that time. So when you start to notice those things, and it can be either like angel numbers, reoccurring themes, reoccurring animals, it can be your dreams, all of that stuff. When you start actually taking note to those things, that's when life gets magical and the messages just start flowing. And then you just know which step to take.
Right.
It was pretty clear to phone Rhonda.
Yeah, I don't think there was any question Rhonda needed to be called. And so I want to say hello to Carmen, who's joined us. Hey, Brittany.
Yay,
how
Carmen.
are you? Yay. And if you have any questions, of course, for Mila, and if you have any for me, you can drop them in, but we care mostly about Mila right now. You can talk to me anytime. If you have any questions for Mila, please drop them in the thread. I'm sure that she'll be happy to answer them. I have 1,000 though, so I might take up all of our time. I'm hoping though, I'm kidding, but I'm hoping that the questions I'm asking are questions that other people would have too. And, I always, when I do the interviews, I try to think of it from a broader perspective of what am I having that other people could be going through as well. And so, you said something which I thought was important about slowing down. What are your favorite ways? Well, wait, I think the first and most pressing question is, was it important that you called Rhonda? Yeah,
it was. Actually, it ended up to get me a $20,000 job.
Oh my gosh. So if your intuition could just tell you where to go to make $20,000, that would be awesome. I know it doesn't always work out way, but boy, that's a fun story. I love it.
Yeah.
So what are your favorite ways to really shut down, and what have you found? I know that you do work with clients and stuff. And so what have you found for someone who is really into like the hustle and the push through the pain, do all these things? What works the best as far as getting them to slow down, to pause, and really tune in to that inner voice?
Well, you got to get rid of the busy. So part of that is about your scheduling.
Do you see me fidgeting in my seat? I'm like, what? Get rid of the busy what? Where do I go? I need somewhere to hide.
Now, I had a dear client, and she's a mortgage broker. And she was going to, I don't know how many in-person networking events, like 3 per week. And she was also dating somebody and also doing X, Y, and Z, and also doing training, and also, building her website and as well. And I said, you know what, something's got to go. So what you've got to do is focus in on what's really important. And it's not like, and especially in business, the action steps of doing your website or, whatever, they don't really matter. I'm not a big person on websites. My website sucks shit. It does. Like, it totally does. And I don't care. I built it myself, and I just don't care.
First time on here anyone has ever said suck shit.
Well, it does. And I'm not embarrassed by it or anything, and it's fine. And it does its job, and it could be better. But the thing is I don't want to do the back end work for it right now. And how I get clients is by talking to people and connection. And that's how you get it, right? It's about connection and talking to people. But at the same time, you can't be overwhelmed with 3 networking events that are not serving your highest purpose, right? So she was going to networking events. One was for crocheting. One was a business group. One was a real estate group. Well, pick your favorite ones. Pick only one, bring it down to 1 a week, with what she was doing. And then, so when we slowed her down a bit, now she doesn't want to pick up the pace. Now we ended our 6-month contract, and she's all like, I just want to hang out right here because I feel balanced and everything is going good. And I just want to hang out here for a while. She goes, but I'm going to call you as soon as I want to launch the next phase of my business, right?
Yeah, and it happens.
And that's okay to go a bit slower, right?
Yeah.
It will all happen in time.
I think I want to acknowledge Brittany made a comment that said that's the second time this week I were told to just be still and just be, which is funny. I want to also acknowledge Mindy and Nicole are on here. So hello,
Yay,
ladies.
Mindy, Nicole. Oh, what an awesome group that are watching us. Hey, I love you guys.
Yes, yes. And I always tell people too, you have to stay in your own lane. And I think sometimes when we're putting together businesses, we're looking at all these other things and we're being told by so many different people, we have to do this, no, we have to do this, no, we have to do that. And I think that the messages get so overwhelming sometimes. And I know it's happened to me, and sometimes it happens and we don't even realize it's happening. We're like, oh my gosh, well, I need to do this and this and this. And then we meet people and colleagues and we want to pair up and we want to do more things, and we forget sometimes what our lane is. And so I love that you're pretty much teaching to that too, which is you don't have to have an amazing website if that's not your space, if that's not where you're connecting with people, and that's not where you're building your business. If your business is on Facebook and it's just, scheduling out your posts and doing the things that you need to do to show up and connect and then, help advance the conversations, then that's what you need to do. So how do you approach your own business aside from having a website that sucks shit? I love it. I'm just going to say that this whole time. So, and a reminder too, that if you have any questions for Mila, drop them in because we have about 15 more minutes. Okay.
Yeah. So what I've always done is this is one of my things, is that on LinkedIn or Facebook or even Instagram, I actually reach out through private messaging and say, hey, you look like a person I'd like to get to know. And would you care to have a Skype coffee date with me? And you wouldn't believe how much business I get from that. It's crazy. And it's just about, hey, listening to what they're talking about. And I've gotten featured on blog posts and all sorts of stuff like that. And it's about connection, really, because business is all relationships.
Oh yeah, connection is everything. I'm always telling people, when you have a business online, people aren't buying what your business is. They can get services that I'm sure there are thousands of people who probably have amazing services. So that's why it's so important for people to see you. It's you. And it's all about the connection and how do we connect with people if we don't know who they are? Well, they're superficial connections and they're never going to go anywhere. So if that's what you want in your business, then, keep doing that thing. But the connection is everything. How do you, as a tarot professional, really drown out that noise and make the connections? How do you find the people who, and I know I'm asking this question, but it's kind of like counter to my own questions or what I usually say, which is if you be you, they'll find you. You don't actually have to go find them. So what is your secret sauce for having people find you?
What my secret sauce is actually, it just came up for me last week because I have a Facebook group and it's called Manifest with Tarot, and I ask questions every day. So every day there's a new question. And one of them was, how can I harness my energy in business? And this was something that really spoke to me. And I got the Knight of Air, which means about hopping on opportunities. You don't say, oh, maybe next week or whatever. When you asked me to come on, I was like, yes, I can. Right this Friday, no problem. I'll be there. And you hop on those opportunities. It's also about, and I've been watching myself and it's intuition based, right, for me. So I feel the energy of a situation. And there's a perfect example of this where I wanted to promote a stalker card reading, which is a card that comes up for you all the time, right? But I didn't promote it at that exact moment. I just didn't get around to it. I was humming and hawing about the copy for it. And then the moment passed, no one was talking about the stalker cards anymore, right? Like it was a 2-day window. I should have done it and put it out there. And if you stop, and that's like the universe loves action and action steps, and they don't have to be perfect. So it's about allowing yourself to not be perfect. It's allowing yourself to show up just as you are. And it's allowing you to feel the energy of whatever's going on at that moment. Like when I posted in your group yesterday about I got that message from the universe the night before. It was late at night. I wasn't going to post at 1:00 in the morning, but I texted it to myself. And I was like, I need to share this because I know somebody's going to need to hear this. It's okay to go at your own pace. So that's the kind of thing. And then that will draw those people in. The people that are in the same vibration, the same energy as me will want to talk to me, follow me, hear from me, and we can build a deeper relationship as well. Because my clients come back to me. 97% of them, I don't lose clients.
Right. That was a beautiful share, by the way. Now, Brittany has a question. She said, what advice do you have in regards to when you have a business that deals with delicate situations?
Okay. Well, such as the no BS best friend. The only thing I can say is be honest. Is to be honest and true to yourself. And there has to be some protection stuff going on as well. So I know Nicole and is a highly sensitive person like me. I'm an empath, and I have to do a lot of protection rituals so that I can stay detached from the situation. So energetically, a couple of quick tips is when you're dealing with delicate situations, you can, first thing in the morning, if you even just imagine your feet growing roots into the ground for even 10 seconds, that will ground you and start you off in your day properly. Another thing that I give as a tip as well that was told to me when I was like really, really scattered energy was pretend to put on invisible like bathrobe or whatever, cloak, your own invisible cloak every morning so that when you go out into the world, you're keeping your aura and your energy in, and you and then at the end of the day when you're ready to go to bed, you can take it off. But it actually is, you pretend to put it on, because what was happening to me is my energy was flowing right out of the back of me. And like I would walk around in a store or something, and all my energy, if you could imagine it, was just going around in circles, right? The other thing is that you can smudge. I have smudge sticks always handy. You can smudge and send that stuff away. Go down the water. I'm often the weird one at the water, just going like this, sending my stuff away. And just, you know, and I don't give a shit what anybody thinks. And I put my feet in the water, even when it's cold out, I take off my boots and I'll stick my feet in, because that connection to nature and being in the forest is another thing too, right? So all of those tips help protect you, because it takes away those excess layers of other people's stuff.
So Brittany says, awesome, thanks. And I'm saying the same thing. I'm mirroring Brittany too, saying that is awesome. And Nicole says, your tips make energy tangible, easier to imagine. And it's true, because I always find that my sanctuary is at the ocean. It's by the water,
yes.
Always. And you just really nailed it for me in that connection to nature. It's like grounding yourself. And, you know, when you talk about your energy being everywhere, the thing that I would want to know about, my question would be, how do you, so you say, you know, put on that imaginary cloak and stuff, but the thing that I do is I tend to pull anybody's emotion. So it's a crazy world for someone like me who hasn't tapped into this much, where I'll go to a grocery store and the cashier's an SOB and I'm taking on that energy, and somebody cuts you off in the parking lot and you're taking on that energy, and then your kids come home and they've had a bad day and they're like, and you're taking on that energy. And by the end of the day, you're like, I'm not writing a damn thing. I'm fucking done, you know? And so it's like, and so I think in my business, it's like, it's been such an uphill battle, because yeah, I got the goods. Yes, I can, you know, move people, but the hardest times are when I'm being moved by all of this other energy around me. What are your tips and tools for like that specifically?
Okay. Specifically, I'm going to give you my number one tip. Okay. So the number one tip is, especially if you go to a grocery store, right? Because this is actually quite common and it happens with a lot of people. You choose your reaction, right? And you can choose to keep that person's energy or not. So the first thing you do is you ask, is this mine?
Mm-hmm.
The next thing is if the answer is a clear no, you say, I send it away. Or you can choose to laugh off that SOB clerk, right? Or whatever. Yeah. Like, the slowest clerk in the world, I tend to laugh. I tend to just sit there and go, oh, well, good thing I work for myself and I have my own schedule. Like, you know what I mean? So like, and then, and if like even the other day, and then you find when you choose to send it away, when you choose to not be affected by it, then when you go home, your kids come home in a better mood. Your vibration is higher. And because we're all connected, especially in family, right? Family is a close circle. When you find that you're in a really great mood, your kids will be in a great mood too, right? And it happens. And it's because if you allow those things to kind of resonate like a ripple effect, your kids will feel it too. And they're sensitive as well, right? And then that goes there, and then they don't know, but they do know mom's feeling a little bit, mom's feeling off today. So you know what? And then somebody triggers them, and the next thing you know, it's a shit show for everybody. Yeah. But if you can imagine to say, whatever, or if you are in a bad mood, you go and do something that changes it, such as go for a walk in nature. You're going to find that when you go home after the walk in nature, your kids are going to be over their bad mood.
Oh yeah. Who watching could, and replayers feel free to give a hands up, but who here could just watch Mila all day and just ask questions and hear this stuff and go, oh my gosh, everything you're saying is resonating with me. I'm sure it's resonating with everybody else who's on here. So give a show of hands like, hell yeah. So, what you said is so true too, because I have taken just this week, I decided, you know what? I'm resetting all the rules and boundaries for my business. And it was, it was like show up every place, every day, at least once, and, do live videos every day. And it was like all this stuff. And I said to my husband at one point, I said, I'm not momming anymore. I'm barely humaning. I'm not wifing. I'm not momming. I was like, I'm not doing, I love the way that, my language goes in my household, but I was like, the housewifing, I don't care about that part. I'm okay with not housewifing, but and I'm not chefing. We're good with that. But the whole momming and wifing thing and humaning, right?
Yes.
But so I had decided this week, I said I needed a break and I needed to redefine what showing up and being visible looked like to me, because it had to match, obviously, and I tell everyone this, it has to match what your goals are in your business, what you're doing, what you're teaching, and where you want to go. So I did that, and I am telling you, my house prior to that was chaos. And anyone who's in this space, Mindy, well, Carmen says she listened to you all day, and Mindy said she has you hanging on her fridge now, which I think is hilarious.
I think it's so cute. I was like, I'm fridge worthy. I'm fridge worthy.
Yes, and you're getting lots of support, by the way. You're getting lots of support. Awesome. And honestly, Brittany, I'm just going to stop you right there. And I'm going to say kids are mirrors of us. And it's exactly what Mila said. And if your kids are being dicks, check yourself. I love you. I've got nothing but love for you. But if you feel like your kids are challenging you, and that is exactly what I was saying happened in my life this week, when I said, to hell with it, I need to breathe. I have to breathe. Yes. My businesses are not going anywhere. If I do 80% versus 100, nobody's truly going to notice. I mean, maybe people notice, like, Debbie's not every day. I wonder, is she like following her bullshit stories? The answer is no. Actually, it's the opposite. What I'm not doing is following other people's bullshit stories. And I've taken an introspective turn and decided I was going to pause. 3 days in a row, my kids went to school happy. Like, nice. Happy. They are doing favors for each other. They are, I mean, they're still kids, right? They're not perfect. I'm not that mom, but but still it's the energy overall has shifted. My husband and I actually talk like, we have conversations where it's not instantly somebody at, each other, right?
Yeah,
And so it's like I've noticed the energy. And so I will tell everybody it starts with you. If
it
there's
does.
areas of your life that aren't in tune, pause and breathe, my friends. I mean, I just
Yeah.
made a post too that was like, the post I just made too was exactly this of, you can hear all these things that say these things don't work, but you've got to be the example and start teaching people what it looks like when you do relax and when you are able to breathe. You're just a better person, a better role
Yeah.
model, a better business owner. I'm sure you're probably, a better professional, mentor, coach, whatever you want to call yourself. So I can ask you questions all day, Mila. And I'm sure, if anyone else has questions beyond this, please feel free to drop them in. Mila is so supportive and always in the group. And so I'm sure you'll be back in here answering questions.
Of
So
course.
what is it? Is there one thing that you're like, okay, Debbie, if we talk about nothing else today, this has got to come out. I feel really called to tell people this, or this is something I always find is the most helpful for people trying to understand their intuition and really be more spiritual in their business?
Well, the big thing that's coming up for me right now is to have fun and to follow what your passion is. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. There has been so many times, and I was thinking about this morning before we came on here, and there's been so many times where I wanted to do things and people are like, you can't do that. You can't put that together. You cannot listen to that. If that's where your heart is drawn, you need to go in that direction. Listen to your soul. Your soul speaks to you in each and every way. And if something is not working for you, it doesn't mean that it's not 100% right, but it does mean you need to evaluate it and kind of go in a better direction. So it can be just the smallest little tweak, but it will skyrocket your success if you listen to your intuition. So just follow those things that you love to do. And for me, this year is infusing fun into my business. That is what I'm doing. I'm doing all sorts of new things. I'm doing things that I have no idea if they're going to work or not. But you know what? I'm doing them because I've been wanting to do this for so long. And why did I wait? I'm now, actually, this year marks my 5th year anniversary in my business. Whoop, whoop.
Yay!
March 1st was 5 years.
That's awesome.
So
Congratulations.
it was like, and if I think back to all the things that I wanted to do and all the mentors I've had and everything, and I've always been told you can't do that, even by that mentor. If your mentor is telling you you can't do something, I don't know. I don't think they're really the right person for you, right? They should be encouraging you and supporting you, and surround yourself with people like these groups, like your group, like the support system, support systems, and just being able to speak your voice and just truly speak your voice. And whatever it is, there's somebody else going through the same shit at the same time.
Yeah, there always is. And you bring up a good point, which is about the mentors. And honestly, I had a very high level mentor that just recently I've started pulling myself away from emotionally. And what happened was when I did that, I was able to, I always joke and I have so much respect for anyone in the business. And I say, and I've been saying like, I got to stop drinking the Kool-Aid because what I was doing, which is funny. And I use it in a tongue in cheek, but a loving way too, in that you have to see your mentors and know what worked for them. It's like parents, right? We learn from our parents as we grow. Of course, there are things my parents do and I'm like, hell no. I mean, love you, Mom, but I'm just saying, right? I'm like, I will never do that as a parent. That doesn't resonate with me. And the same is for a mentor. And sometimes, unfortunately, it's difficult to do, but even our friends, even our circle of friends or professional colleagues, we have to say, I love you and I respect you, but I can't, that's not my way. And so I think as we allow ourselves the permission and we start connecting internally, we start seeing, you know what? I understand that this works for you, and I also understand doing this, but I need to actually do it this way. And so I think that it's so empowering to do that. So I love that you're talking about this as well.
Yeah, it's so huge because I've been told, oh, you need to do this or you need to do that. Or even when I was in my design business, a real estate agent told me this one time, oh, we need to get you up to whatever level before you do that. And I was all like, whatever. And then I went to one of his clients' places to do a consultation. It was the worst. I bombed it and everything. Like, and he was like just a jerk. And the other thing that I'd like everybody to know as well, when starting a business, no, like generally speaking, most people will not be on your side. They will not understand what you're doing. They will not know what anything means. They will not understand why you want to do it because they're too afraid or fearful in their own lives to step out into a different factor, right? So
Yeah.
in my household, there's nobody that's an entrepreneur in my family. Nobody. And nobody understands why I would want to work for myself. Your friends will probably not support you. They don't want to hear about all of your work and every new thing that you do. That's why, again, it's so important to have support in all of these groups, and especially support in many different ways. So like Nicole has the HSP Lounge. I'm the Tarot. You're a Trailblazing Leader. We got the Badass Bosses. We got the Spiritual Badass. We got all of these fantastic groups that support each other and one another that we can branch out, and it kind of resonates to each different kind of area for us.
Yeah.
So it's important to be multifaceted as well. But
Yes.
you will not find the support with your friends or your parents or your brothers and sisters. And it's just the way it is. And that's okay.
Yeah. And Mindy said she's getting that already, and and Mindy, I'm not surprised in knowing where you are, but I think for me, I had people leave my groups, family members, good friends leave my groups, and I remember each one I took it so personally, and I would go to my husband and say, I need to cry right now because right. And so, but now I look at it, I'm like, cool, sweet, you're opening it up for probably 10 more people now because of energetically if they're not there. And my family was like, what do you do? I don't even know what you do. And so it was obviously it does happen. And that's why I think, just like you said, Mila, your community is everything. And also guard that so strongly. You've got to be willing to make difficult choices. Let's say my family members were in here and I didn't feel that energetically they were aiding. Maybe I thought they were energetically sucking. It's like, sorry, remove from group. You have to be ready to do that. But it does take a sense of being strong in who you are, in understanding. I remember for years I rejected that I was a leader, and my leadership qualities would piss me off, honestly. I'd be like, why the hell do I always speak my freaking mind? Why can't I just shut up? And then it was like, but it was never, when I would say stuff, it was never like, oh no, it's about making me significant. It was about, no, it was like a social injustice, or it was, like yesterday. Okay, great example, and we can end it. But great example was yesterday. I'm just riding down the road with my kids after the dentist appointments, and everything was like, all crazy at the appointments, but I was still like managing my chill zone because, well, I'm in chill zone right now, right? Yeah. And so we're driving down the road, and my son goes, "Mommy, that kid's throwing stuff out the bus window," and it looked like a napkin or stuff, and I was like, "Honey, the parents aren't there. Some kids don't, they don't implore, good things when parents aren't around and stuff." So then we drive past the bus, and I guess it was turning or whatever. Somebody threw a bottle out the window. It was half full of something. It sounded like a cannon going off on my windshield. And I was like, oh my God, what is going on? This is crazy, right? And so my son goes, "Mommy, what are you going to do? You should go after the bus." And I go, "Sweetie, no. First of all, it's a bus, And I said, so I called I called the transportation office for the county school district, and I said, this happened, and I want to call back at some point, so I know this was addressed. And I said, if not, I'll call back. I don't mind calling back continuously.
Good for you.
But so it's a point of, I could have just said, oh, whatever, and then they never know that there's a problem. They never know that maybe that particular bus needs a monitor because the kids are a little bit out of control in the back. And look, I rode a bus myself, so I understand. My sister punched me in the nose over a piece of gum on the bus. She's a trailblazing leader, by the way. So she knows how to fight for what she wants. Anyway, but I think just in saying that being a leader isn't about, it's not about having to make waves. It's really about seeing where there's an area of improvement and being strong enough and understanding I can do this. It's like my right. It's like knowledge is responsibility, right? So
Yeah.
seeing this and knowing this, we kind of have to do it. And so do you have any parting words for our leaders today as far as bringing spirituality in their leadership?
Just, really just be true to you, whatever that is, right? So, I want to bring up your post in the Spiritual Badass again by you not feeling spiritual enough to be posting in there. Let's say, I don't really feel like a badass, right? So,
Right.
But I still do things, but I don't call myself a badass, right?
Right.
And
Right.
you can embrace spirituality without actually calling yourself spiritual if that's what you so desire. So just sprinkle in a little bit more, notice a little bit more of what the universe is telling you to do. Take action when you get those inspired thoughts. Those are the ones that don't wait around for another week or whatever. Put it out there. See what's going on. Tune into that energy. And I know that each and every time you listen to that, you will, at very minimum, learn a message of a lesson of what's working and what's not, right? So, and then you can learn from that. And if you detach a little bit from the business, the outcome of it, that's when you gain your power. So like, a lot of people are afraid to ask for the sale, right? But when you detach from whether or not the person says yes or no, it really doesn't matter anymore. Right?
Yes.
And so just be you. That's the only thing you can do. And I wish I got that message 9 years ago when I started my design business. And you got to stay on track to what your mission is. Your mission will change. It will evolve and expand and grow. But you got to stay in tune with what your mission is so that you don't lose your vision. Because I lost my vision in my first business and then I shut it down. And it was brutal. I was like standing in the middle of nowhere going in the spot saying, what am I doing here? Why am I working every day? Like I literally worked so much. Now I don't work as much. Now I've actually made it mandatory that I finish work by around like 3. and I take weekends off and I spend, I schedule in, like I do the occasional evening or weekend thing, but like, that's okay. But I have my boundaries. So setting your boundaries, listening to your intuition and taking action on those inspired thoughts, even those dreams that come to you.
Yeah, I actually heard something recently that said the message has to come out and the universe gives it to you. And if you don't do something with it, you lose your opportunity to benefit from it and it goes to someone else. And then the opportunity is in their court. So I loved that analogy because it really puts a bit of an urgency to having to take action. There's like, there's so many different things out there, 5-second, rule, all these other things. And I think it's so true though, because there are times where I've wanted to do a live feed on something and then I've waited because I needed to put on my makeup or, whatever, some bullshit story I was feeding into, like I had to do that and then it was gone and I wasn't passionate about it anymore. And I was like, oh, that sucks because that was good. But I knew like you just feel the energy goes. And so guys, if you are inspired about something, write about it, live feed about it, put a program around it, do something.
Do something and do it right away.
Yep. Because if you don't, then you lose the opportunity and it goes over there. Right. So wait, that was the wrong way. I meant to do it that way. I'll give you opportunities, Mila. I want you to have all the opportunity in the world. Don't let them go that way. Well, I am so excited that you were on here today. And I just have had such an awesome time with you. So I wanted to thank you so much for being on here, for being so totally awesome. And, and I look forward to getting to know you more in the groups as well. And guys, if you have any last questions for her, drop them in the thread. I'm sure you'll come back in. You'll come back in, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay. For sure. Okay. I can't, I'm never off of Facebook.
Well, thank you so much, Mila. It was an honor and a true pleasure getting to talk with you. So I'll see you around the group. All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you for having the space.
Oh,
Thanks.
my
Bye.
pleasure. Bye-bye.